So today we will be going over Microsoft 365 Copilot. Um, to start out with this, the goal is to give you a brief explanation over some of the things that Microsoft 365 offers, and hopefully you can navigate. Um, hopefully you can navigate Microsoft 365 better. So first, let's define what Microsoft 365 even is. Microsoft 365 is a way for you to access all of the Microsoft applications. So you have your Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, Outlook, OneDrive, and Teams. These are things you probably might have used for school, or you will use for school, or things that you probably use for work. If not, you will use them when you eventually enter the workforce, as something like Microsoft Teams is very similar to like Zoom, if you're familiar with that. And a lot of places use Microsoft Teams to communicate. So, for starters, we'll go over what you see now, which is Microsoft Copilot. What is Microsoft Copilot? It's essentially an AI assistant that you can use to help you make, in your daily workflow task, or maybe you want to do some brainstorming or something like that. You can type it into Microsoft Copilot and it will kind of give you feedback and you can kind of have a conversation with it. So, for example, if I want to just say, ask it what is 2 plus 2, it'll let me know the answer is 4. If you wanted to do more complicated questions, if you needed to revise a paper for you, it can help with all that. Next thing we're going to go over is Microsoft apps. So, as I discussed before, Microsoft 365, one of its purposes is to kind of be the portal to your other Microsoft apps. What are those apps? We have Outlook. Outlook will be Microsoft's email. As you can see, his email, schedule, set task. In Microsoft Outlook, you can use it to email people. You can use it to schedule appointments and set certain tasks in like calendar. It also gives you access to a calendar. Microsoft Word. A lot of you should be familiar with this, as you probably used it to write papers. If you're more used to something like Google Docs, this is similar. Very useful for writing papers, drafting documents, things like that. Microsoft Teams, very similar to Zoom. If you're used to using Zoom for any of your online classes, a lot of companies will use this to kind of just set meetings. Maybe you can't all make it, so you'll come through virtual. Excel spreadsheets. If you're used to Google Sheets, this will kind of be the equivalent to that. I know we covered Google Sheets before, but this is kind of what that is for Microsoft. If you wanted, like, if you need to put things in kind of a grid layout and you need to, have things structured, or if you need to put like equations into your templates and stuff like that, Microsoft Excel is kind of where you can go. PowerPoint, the Google equivalent would be Google Slides. If you're used to using Google Slides, then Microsoft PowerPoint is kind of the equivalent for that. This is where you do your presentations. I'm sure some of you might have used it before to use to present into class, or kind of used it as maybe a professor had a PowerPoint that they need you to download before. This is that. Then you have Microsoft OneDrive. This is kind of the more complicated one, where if you wanted to say, like, if you need to save something, and let's say you need to save something to your from your main desktop, and you need to access it from your laptop, you can sync your OneDrive through. Um, you can sync it to your OneDrive, and that way you can use it on all of your devices that have access to your Microsoft 365 account. Microsoft OneNote is kind of like a notepad per se. If you wanted to use it to kind of take notes, if you want to use it to kind of illustrate some stuff. A lot of people use it for illustrations. Some people use it to take notes in class. Maybe if you have like a tablet or something you can write on. And then, of course, if you want to just install all of these apps, that way you don't have to come and log on to Microsoft 365 every time to get these apps, you can just go here and click to install apps and install them as you would. So if you want to, you just click on there and you can install Word. The last thing we're going to go over is Microsoft's Create tab. What this allows you to do is to kind of, if you, let's say you needed to create an image, maybe you're doing like a PowerPoint for a class or something, you could use this to kind of create an image. As you can see, it has a bunch of like recommended images for you to use. And all you'd have to do is kind of just type it in, describe the image, and then it can help generate something for you that you can use for, like I said, PowerPoint presentation or anything like that. And that works if you want to design a poster or kind of create a form. It'll have like sort of templates you can use here as well, banners. Even if you needed, let's say you created that image, but it needs to be tweaked or edited, use that here. And then infographics as well if you need that done. All right, so that's going to be the basics of Microsoft 365 and a little about Copilot. I think we'll probably cover Copilot again at a later date, but that is just the basics, and hopefully that helps you navigate um, the dashboard a little bit better. That way you're not bogged down when you see a whole bunch of apps and you know what you're looking at.